that he was in office, he was just about broke me as a small businessman before he finally got him out of there with some of his trucking industry issues and things that he'd been bringing on during that 8 years of his office up there. So, we're dealing with these things every day, whether we really realize it or not. And so that was the reason why I want to start doing some of these interviews with folks like you and me that are just out here working. So,
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
so what else are we going to talk about today? You want to hit any more hot buttons, or you want to hit something that's a little less controversial, maybe? Is there such a thing today?
Oh man, I don't think so. I did want to just mention, yeah, the book, couple of books I've been reading. Well, the one is one that you gave me actually, the 5,000 Year Leap. It's a really good book. It talks about the founding fathers and what they were trying to establish and all the checks and balances and things that they were trying to put in place in order for our, constitution and our country to be a free country and, uh, not have leaders in power that are in power just because they're, related to the king or whatever. They're in power because they were elected by the people. You know, assuming the election is done right.
Exactly. You bring up that breaking loose from the tyranny. I just read an article here last week on the Statue of Liberty. It's amazing how they're trying to rob all of our symbolism, all of our patriotic symbols and emblems that we have all over this country. And this little article I was reading, I don't know how many of you out there are aware of the Statue of Liberty. We have all of the symbolism of the crown and the torch and the insignia of letting your tired and weak and come and all those things most people are familiar with. But this article was dealing with the feet of the Statue of Liberty. Are you familiar at all with the things that are around the bottom of that statue?
I haven't been there. It's definitely on the bucket list, but I haven't been there yet, so no.
Well, on the bottom of that statue, the Statue of Liberty, she's not standing stationary. She's standing as if she was walking. One of her feet is curled up with a heel off the ground, and the left foot is front forward. But around that left foot is a chain that's been broke loose and it's laying down. And this article went on and on about how the person that was the artist that did this statue was an abolitionist, and that was all symbolism of breaking loose of slavery, and they try to turn this into a slave issue. And that is absolutely not true, because that whole symbol is talking about us breaking loose and free from the tyrants of the king. That's the whole point of the whole thing. That chain has nothing to do with slavery. It is a chain of the bondage of the tyrant government that our forefathers fought, died, and gave their fortunes to create and bring forth. And the French government wanted to recognize that. They really wanted that statue to be delivered at the 100-year anniversary, and they missed that mark. And it was, 10, 15 years later before it was actually delivered. And that statue is in motion. That chain has been broke loose because the Statue of Liberty is marching on. You know the song, right? We're marching on. Because we're continually moving, we're continually growing, and that whole representation is the whole thing about this country's changing, it's moving. We've got all this race culture thing going on in our country right now, but the reality of it is, no matter how bad it has been, we are moving in a progression forward to resolve the issues of humanity in order for this country to move. And that book you made mention of, the 500-year leap, is fabulous as far as I can tell, is bringing those points forward on how things have been pushed into the progression after the birthing of this country.
Yeah, it's a really good book. I'm about halfway through it right now, but it's obvious that they were trying to establish this country based off of God, godly principles and everything, and even they had tenets and things like that to establish in the school systems, which was God, revolved around God as well. So, it's never been done really in the history of any civilization. So we are living in a very unique world and situation since America was formed. Yeah.
Yeah, and the releasing of the human entrepreneurship, the ability to be rewarded for your own labors.
Exactly. Yeah. And even, the legal immigrants that came over here had the same chance as somebody else that, was born in a rich family. So that's a great thing about this country. Anyone has a chance. I talk about my background. I grew up. Well, I was like a 5th generation brick mason. So and then ended up making my way into dental school eventually. It wasn't until I was 36 that I went into dental school, but
Yeah, better late than never.
had a
Right?
midlife crisis, I guess you could say. No, I don't know. But literally, you can pretty much do anything if That's what's so great about America. So
Put your mind to it, put the effort into it, and you get
takes a
some
lot of
results.
work. Yep.
Yeah. No
Takes
guarantee for success, but there's a better guarantee for success here than anywhere else.
Exactly. Yep.
You betcha.
It's true.
It's equal opportunity. It's not equal results. Right?
That is very true as well. Yeah, you can go to school and get a degree in basket weaving, but you may not be as successful
Why
as
not? You might make $1 million in one
you could,
basket too.
and or you could.
I guarantee they sell some stuff that I can't believe people buy. I'll look at the TV and them commercials and go, "What? Really?"
Yep.
And they buy that?
Get on Amazon. There you go. You get in.
Yeah.
Could be a millionaire making baskets.
Oh, I told my wife we need to come up with a charitable donation for only $19 a month.
Yeah.
My goodness. The money is out there to be made in America if you just put your mind and your heart to doing something. I promise
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
you can make some money. Right on. Well, I hope that you've got something out of this. We're running up on the end of the clock here, and we got this one of one interview. I promise we're going to get some more of these interviews going. I hope you enjoy this. I hope maybe you learned something from it, and hit that like button on that podcast if you're listening on speaker or wherever you get your pods. I really appreciate you guys' input. Let us know what we can do to improve on this thing, and if there's somebody that you think would be a good host or guest rather to have on here to interview, put that in the comments and send it to me. Really appreciate y'all listening, and until then, we'll see you on the pod.